Yeah, well, part of the issue with Nate was we didn't have many snaps in the first quarter, as you guys know from watching the game. We didn't start very fast as a football team. But again, we're going to go through those, Calvin, here in the next couple of days and have a plan. What I would say to you guys, the biggest thing for us that I'm excited about is we got 2 padded practices on Tuesday, Wednesday, a little practice before we get out of here on Thursday. So we got a little heavy lifting this week, which is going to be great, and we need it.
Subscribe to the theory that young offensive linemen need snaps, not so much in practice, but in live games before the start of the regular season.
Yeah, I think they have to play some. I think what's the magic number? I don't think that there is a magic number. I think we get some great work against our guys every day. But, I do think that they need to play some. I think most young players need to play some. And I think you'll see that when you watch us line up against Baltimore this week.
So Dallas Cowboys, I know, as we always say, things aren't as good as they seem or as bad as they seem. What was your assessment of the preseason game after watching it again?
Yeah, I think, I just went through this with the team, so it's obviously, pretty fresh in my mind. I think, we didn't start very fast, and think, the defense, the Rams won the toss. They accepted the ball. They went right down the field. We got to get better of getting off the field, 3rd and 4th down. We weren't great with that. I think, the offense obviously, threw it 6 straight times, and we wanted to sling it around a little bit with Joe. But again, we got to win 1st and 2nd down. I think that was a big part of it. I did not like our discipline. The penalties with the offense, 6 pre-snap penalties, that wasn't great. Some of the sideline substitution wasn't very clean. And then, the thing I talked to the guys about is seizing momentum. As you go through the preseason games when, you obviously want to win, but it doesn't go against your record when you lose or if you win. But you have to learn how to grab momentum. And there was a couple opportunities in that second half where I felt like we had a chance to grab momentum, and Clarence, we really didn't do it. So, we turned the ball over, and then goes out there. He makes a great interception. We get the ball back. We miss a deep cross, and we go 3 and out. Well, that's a lost opportunity for momentum. Then on the other end of it, we drive down the field, put together a nice drive early in the 4th quarter, score a touchdown, and make it a 24-14 game, and the defense goes out there and allows a 5 or 6 play touchdown drive. Like, momentum swings in the National Football League and in competitive sports is huge, and our guys need to understand how to maximize those opportunities because so much can be gained from swings and momentum and things like that. So I thought the guys played really, really hard. They really did. They competed hard, for 60 minutes, and definitely a lot of things to clean up. But we spent a lot of time today on the things that we need to improve, which I hit most of those as a general team.
You talk about this, talk about sideline substitutions. Do you take that personally as the head coach?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, like, to have 6 pre-snap penalties on the offense is awful. It's awful, and it's not going to be accepted. Like, we're not going to allow that to happen. We're told the guys today, if you're going to commit pre-snap penalties, which means I can't line up the right way as an offensive lineman, I shave my motions, and, we're not going to play you. Why? Because why would you put yourself at a disadvantage and say, hey, I'm going to cost myself 5 yards here and next, and again, the officials did a good job. They were trying to warn us, and so we went back and we've defined again, second time, define the way we talk about our offensive lineman, alignment, level 1, level 2, all those things, but if we're not a disciplined football team, that starts with me as the head coach and the coaching staff.
One more thing. You said you're not going to tolerate it. How does that manifest itself? What does it look like not tolerating?
Yeah, guys don't play. Doesn't mean if CD shaves, I'm taking him out forever. Yeah, I mean, let's be very straight about that. CD, don't shave wherever you are. Don't shave. But if it's a consistent habit and they keep doing it and you're trying to correct it and it doesn't get taken care of, then they don't understand, or they're just kind of saying, they don't see the importance of it. And my job and the coach's job is to make sure they understand the importance of playing with discipline, because why are you going to give up free yards? And I think of the 6, 2, I know for sure, maybe 3 were in the red zone. And it's like, okay, well, why are we 0 for 2 in the first half scoring touchdowns in the red zone offensively? Well, we get down in there and we push ourselves back. So that was definitely addressed.
Brian Schottenheimer with ESPN, you told us last week that after the game, you'll start thinking about the 53 with the group and things. Does it worry your cornerback spot?
Well, I wouldn't say, Todd, that I think we start thinking about the 53. I think we got a long way to go on this thing. I think what I meant, or what should have been taken, was we're moving guys around on the depth chart because of the fact that we've got, again, 2 physical padded practices coming up this week. We've got another one on Thursday. We play a very physical team on Saturday against Baltimore at home opener, which should be a blast. But, it's premature for us to start thinking about the 53-man roster. I'll get to your question. But, to me, that's what this is about. Part of the process right now is, okay, these guys played well. This guy needs to get more reps. This guy gets a little bit less reps. We communicate that to them. Hey, here's why you're getting less reps. It's because of X, Y, Z. It's not a punishment. It said, hey, maybe this guy's doing better than you, or maybe you didn't play very well, and that's why. But in terms of the cornerback depth, I think, we're getting guys reps that need it. I thought, a guy like Booth, did some good things. Iz made a beautiful interception. And I do think that we have some guys that hopefully will be back sooner than later. But right now, we're still in the process of competing every day.
And then with Micah, as you get in later days out here, how do you guys challenge him to make sure he's staying on top of it when he's not practicing?
Yeah, again, it's the meetings, it's the talk through, it's all those things that we've already addressed. And Micah knows the importance of having his mind ready to roll. Yeah, I think they're both going to start doing something this week. John, I'll figure it out when I get in there after we have this meeting here. Today's kind of a lighter day. Today's a stay program where we're taking care of their bodies a little bit. So that buys guys that are coming off bumps and bruises to kind of get back healthy, and we'll do a mock a little bit later tonight. But I think both those guys, we should see some significant progress with them this week, and we'll see. But hopefully they can both play in the game.
And then with Joe Milton's elbow.
Yeah, same thing. He's fine.
Your philosophy when it comes to these highly contested position battles, do you see more value in when it comes to preseason time, getting these guys a full game of reps, or is it, do you see value in bursts of reps, if that makes sense, or is it kind of position by position based?
I think it's position by position. We're thin at some spots, so guys have to play more. If you lose a guy or two during the game, guys have to kind of go back in. But again, the preseason games are one part of the evaluation. Again, I've said it 1,000 times, we can get a lot out of practice. And if we practice the right way, which we do, we'll get a lot out of that. And so the philosophy is more of it's a combination, and it's based a little bit on, okay, we need to see you play more football. You haven't played a whole lot of football. Sometimes it's like, hey, I want this guy to get a little bit more seasoning on some things, so we're going to hold him until maybe preseason game 2 and then unleash him. So it's not, these are long discussions that we have kind of at length and discuss a lot of the potential, what about this, what about that, and it's kind of a fun part of the process. And what you really want to do is kind of give the guys an understanding, because the worst thing to do for a player is say, hey, you're going to play 15 plays, and then all of a sudden you got to put them back in the game in the third or fourth quarter because they're not ready for that. So we try to communicate to it, and then we stay pretty true to script. Yeah, I think, we played a little bit, well, number one, we didn't tackle very well on defense. We're going to get back to doing a lot of tackling drills. I've talked to Flus about that. Replace some of the ball drills we've been doing, ball disruption drills. Just the hamstring tackle's not where it needs to be. We're getting guys on the ground, Nick, but we're getting knocked back instead of knocking them back. The technique that we teach is basically you want to run through contact, 3 hard steps, so you knock the guy in the opposite direction. And right now we're absorbing too much. So that's the first thing. And then again, we're not doing a lot from a front standpoint, but we can play lower, definitely, up front. And, the Rams did a good job. They screwed up our run fits from time to time with some of the misdirection and things like that. Some of it's young players, playing a lot of football, which I think you'll see more ops for the young guys in this week's practice and in this week's game, just because they got to play. And they're talented guys, but they got to make mistakes. And they're going to make mistakes, and that's part of it. So, I think at the end of the day, we were good against the run in the first half. We really were, 3.1, and then the second half it got away from us, and they really weren't doing much. They were just running downhill duo, and we didn't hold up very well. Yeah, again, I think, I'll get more information. Again, I don't think it's too serious, but again, he's one that we're finishing up some more testing on.
Tommy R, DallasCowboys.com. Going back to talking about momentum, How do you handle momentum as a play caller? If you feel like it's on your side, do you maybe try to get a bit more aggressive? Do you try to stay level the whole time? How does it fluctuate throughout a game and kind of determine where you want to go on?
Yeah, you're definitely, Tom, you're reading the game all the time. You know, I mean, you've got kind of a plan of philosophy of who you're playing, okay? But when you get a chance to seize momentum, man, you have to. You know, like I really think it would have been great to see, you know, if we hit flow on the deep cross, you know, after the interception, what that would have played out. I thought the defense was great at stepping up after the interception. You know, you call it sudden change. They got to go back out there and they get the ball back for you. But it's kind of a feel for the game. It's the time of the game. It's the situation of the game. It's the score of the game. It's all those things. And but I'll say this: it's a very, very powerful thing when it comes to competitive sports and definitely football.
Every snap for you. What did you make of them considering they were probably your two biggest depth guys on the O-line?
Yeah, I mean, again, they played basically a full game, like you said. I thought they both did a nice job. They were a big part of us having success running the football. I thought the pass protection was good. We gave up the one sack. We got edged on the right side one time. I would say this, you know, TJ, you know, as a guard, looked terrific. We want to see him play a little bit more center. So we're going to play him some more at center this week. You know, he was a little bit late with a snap or two in the red zone. It actually got loud down there in the red zone late in the game, so we had to go to silent count. But they're both playing really well right now. And the flex for TJ to have to go in there and do that, I thought he did a really good job for his first game, but we're going to get him quite a bit more work at center, so he's a little bit more comfortable in there.
Joe Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. Joe Milton kind of talked about how he came out a little overhyped. You kind of talked about, hey, I'm still learning him a little bit as a play caller. Is there a way as a play caller you can kind of curate calmness with a quarterback? Yeah, for sure. And we actually talked about that with the quarterbacks, and it was just good, you know, hey, how can I help you? He was revved up. A lot of those guys get revved up. First preseason game, want to go and set the world on fire, and it's not about that, you know, and that goes for play callers too. Like, hey, let's go put 50 on these guys. It's like, no, not that. But I think, you know, he settled down and he found his rhythm, and I kind of went over there and joked with him on a couple things, and in the second half, and that, you know, talking to him, it kind of settled him down a little bit, and I think that's part of the relationship, and that's why you guys always ask about, you know, the relationship with me and Dak, and, you know, Joe's an incredible competitor, and you know, such a bright future, but I'm still learning him different than Dak and how to communicate with him, and really good meetings today with the guys. We talked a little bit last week about wide receiver 3. What are you hoping to see out of Jalen Tolbert as the rest of the week?
Well, I think, you know, JT's a guy that I like to challenge because I know anytime I challenge him, he steps up and accepts the challenge. Had a great punt return, got called back because of a penalty, the 20-something yard punt return. That was cool to see. You know, I think the consistency of it. I mean, anytime a guy comes out of a season, off a season where he has 7 touchdown passes, leads the team, I mean, he's just a guy that's going to always do right. He's going to block. He's so selfless and such just a great teammate. And it's no surprise he was really trained by Brandon Cooks, because in reality, that's what B. Cooks is. And it's just like the consistency that those guys play at and how they help you win. Sometimes it's not in the stat book or the stat line. It's just they do plays 4, 5, 6 a game that you're like, whether it's a block, whether it's a cover down, whether it's a catch on a third down conversion, and you go, man, we probably don't win the game if it wasn't for that play by JT.
Dave Loffberg, 105.3 The Fan. Brian, so I go back to Friday. Typically, that's a beanie day. You know, see what the other team is doing, get the looks. You guys had a hard practice with the start. You just not like the day of 3 days off for those guys, or now 4, really?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, babe. I mean, literally, thinking back last couple years with the AAR, what happens is if you do the beanie day on Friday and your vets don't play, so Friday they kind of get it off. They don't play Saturday. The mandatory day off is Sunday. Today they come back in and you can't practice because the guys played in the game are sore, and you wouldn't do that. So the next thing you know, you're 4 days of not doing anything, and I don't believe that that's the best way you get. It's too long. It's too long a period for these guys to not be playing football. How do you get good at football? You play football. And so the way we structured the practice schedules, the guys not playing in the game or limited in the game, they got 24 reps, and the guys that were going to play quite a bit in the game got 12 reps. And so I think that's very manageable. I think the guys worked hard. I challenged them to work hard, and that's the formula we'll keep going with.
Brad Sham, Cowboys Radio 105.3 The Fan. Is Milton the backup quarterback? From the standpoint of I know Cooper Rush last year he felt it hurt him that he didn't get to play more while you all were looking at Lance. What you saw of Greer the other night, what you know of him from before, did he earn more playing time in preseason? How do you approach that?
Yeah, I think, our plan all along has been that we need to find out about Joe Milton. And again, under no circumstance am I panicked or worried about Joe Milton. Joe Milton played really well in the second half. He did some really good things. He calmed down. He figured it out. But I'd be crazy if I didn't say to you how impressed I am with Will Greer. I mean, all the guy does is when given opportunities. And like I said, we communicate very clearly with our players. So like the scrimmage against the Rams, we told them, hey, man, why don't you drink some water and hang out? And next thing you know, he's in the game, and did a great job. Same thing in this game. Will wasn't planning on playing very much, if at all. And next thing you know, he's got to go in, couple shoulder shrugs, and away he goes, and uses his feet, little Fran Tarkenton, a little ball fake and all that stuff. But again, Brad, we're going to let these guys all compete, and it's not a negative against Will Greer that he's not getting the reps. I've been around Will Greer for a couple years now. We know who Will Greer is. We are not surprised when he goes in and does that. It's figuring out more the Joe Milton. It's the unknown more than the competition.
Garrett Podell, CBS Sports. Brian, on Saturday you talked about being up there as an NFL head coach is your dream, and a couple times this offseason you mentioned Bill Cowher. How instrumental has Bill Cowher been in you getting to this chair you're in now, and how would you describe the role he plays in your life, both personally and professionally?
Yeah, I mean, he's a family friend, longtime family friend. He and my dad were very, very close. He looked up to my father as a mentor, and, I try to use Bill any chance I get. I appreciate him. I love the way his teams played. His teams were very, very physical. His teams were great at taking the football away. A lot of things that we believe in and that I believe in come from Marty Schottenheimer, Bill Cowher, winning the line of scrimmage, be multiple, all those things. And, it's not like we talk every week, but he's definitely someone I know that when I have questions or issues or something that maybe I would have reached out to my dad or somebody else, I like to go back and get somebody like that, a Super Bowl champion head coach that's been through the fires, and he wants to stay involved too. I know he does the TV thing, but, you can't – he'd be lying if he said he doesn't miss it a little bit. I mean, you can't not miss being out there on the grass, running around with the guys.
Brad actually asked my question about Milton, so I'm going to move on.
Welcome.
Well, actually, I thank you, for taking his question. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah.
Maris just jumped out at us, in the way he played. Just talk about what he's done in camp and second-year jump.
Yeah, I'm going to start with the opening kickoff of the game of preseason 2025, man. He's singled up, he comes down, cross-face the guy, and just strikes the hell out of the returner. Ball's at the 22-yard line. Then he goes out and, again, probably played as physical as anybody on the defense, filling gaps, punching, tackling, shooting gaps. I just see the instincts and the confidence right now. Clarence jumping off the film with me, man. But, the defense was great. It's what I've seen every day. But go to the opening kickoff, and here's a starting linebacker playing on special teams, and it's right out of the gate, man. He's, boom, down there. And he wasn't the only one. Marquise Bell was there. He had a great cross face. Buddy Johnson was squeezing it from the inside. But, what I've seen from Maris has been very, very consistent, and he showed out in the game. Good redirect, by the way. That was good.
How do you reward a guy like Malik Davis who comes in 36 hours before the game and has an awesome performance versus the guys who have been here throughout camp? You've committed this running back room, multiple of those guys. How do you kind of balance the reward factor there? If that makes sense?
Yeah, first thing you do is you point it out. I mean, we celebrated the hell out of Malik today. I mean, the guys went crazy when I showed a couple of his runs, and what he did is not easy, and we were literally thinking about, we're going to play him later in the game, and we just decided, hey, let's put him in now and let him go, and he did not disappoint. He gave us a huge lift, and again, he'll get some reps, but we do have guys coming back. It's a similar thing with Malik. I kind of feel like I know Malik. I was not surprised by how well Malik ran. I've seen the run instincts. I was surprised he did it that quick, getting here on Friday or Thursday, whatever it was, and then doing that. But, I think he's a terrific young runner with great instincts and things like that, and I think it's a shame that he has not been on a team. But, again, kudos to the scouting department for being able to find him, and he's happy to be back. And, Again, these next 2 practices are going to be physical and hard and long, and there'll be plenty of work to go around for everybody.
Bigger smile, knowing he's a coordinator.
Absolutely. SEC shows on Netflix, somebody said. Yeah, get to check that out.
Brian, kind of a follow-up to Brad, but I'm a little confused. Won't be the first or last time.
Me too. Me too.
Is Joe Milton the backup? Is he your number 2?
Yeah. Why do we have to decide that today? We don't have to decide that today. Yeah. 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 You balance it by saying we want to find out more about Joe Milton. There's a ton of talent. There's a bunch of things that we see from Joe Milton. You saw Joe needs the reps. You saw the way he started the game. You saw the way there was a little bit of struggle for us early on. He was throwing the ball hot and hard and all those things, and we finally settled in, and I need to get to learn him, as the play caller. I don't need to learn Dak. I feel like I really don't need to learn Will. So it's more of that. It's got nothing to do with, it's more of me having to learn Joe, and I'm not going to say who the backup running back is right now, who the backup quarterback is right now, because I don't have to make those decisions yet. Again, is he going to get more reps? We'll see.
Along with that, when Will came in, he stepped up on the touchdown.
Great play.
And Joe kind of goes out the back of the pocket. Doesn't really help to tackle out a number of times. Is that something that you guys looked at and kind of showed?
Yeah, we actually talked about it with Joe today. When you're playing a Joe Milton or a Josh Allen or somebody like that, babe, well, they probably didn't do this with you, but they're going to rush them differently. They're going to contain rush, where they're going to keep the edges wide so that you can't escape that way. So the escape path for an athletic guy like Joe or yourself would be to move up, to go out. Yeah, okay, maybe. But to go up, to go out, whereas other guys get rushed differently, guys that they don't feel are as athletic, they're going to run more games. But, yeah, they had a very specific plan for Joe, and he's going to have to learn to navigate and how to get through those pockets, and that's going to be because he's so athletic.
You mentioned Netflix a second ago. There's a series coming out this week, I believe, with Jerry and stuff. You were in Florida when the 90s Cowboys stuff was going on. What did you know about them then? What did you see about them then, and what have you learned about them since you came back?
Well, I've learned a lot. Since I've been here over the past couple of years, I've learned a lot. And I'm excited to watch it because it's obviously an incredible story and incredible tradition. And, I think looking back now that I know some more of those guys now, Todd, it means more to me. Like when we had the Legends Day and all those guys came back and I got to be around, spend time with Michael Irvin, spend time with some of those guys that were on those teams. I think it makes the story for me, the storyline for me, even more exciting because I'm developing relationships with those guys and learning to care about those guys. And, of course, I care about, the guys here that were part of those teams and winning championships. But anytime you can celebrate success and Super Bowls, and you want to do that. But what I think will be really cool as well is some of the things the stuff they had to deal with that wasn't great, because that's going to happen as well. There's going to be issues. There's going to be problems with different issues, and you're going to have to address it. And I think they prove that you can do that with the right connection and brotherhood. Certainly got to have great players. Yeah, I think it'll be a great watch. I don't know when I'll find time to do it. Maybe on a road trip somewhere or something like that. But, yeah, I think it should be very entertaining, to say the least.
Coach, you told us, Michelle Montaigne, WFA, you told us that you were a little bit emotional pre-game, talked to Jerry for a while and whatnot. After such an adrenaline rush, like, your first game as an NFL head coach, I'd imagine you'd probably like to talk to your dad. Who did you talk to as you kind of decompressed, reflected in the hours after the game?
I talked to my wife. I talked to a couple of the guys on staff. Actually, I'll make fun of myself here for a second. So after the game was over, I did the team prayer. I called them up. I talked to the guys, and I decided I was going to do the team prayer because obviously my faith is really important to me. Well, I went straight Ricky Bobby on them, and I actually cursed. Yeah. Okay, I cursed. I think I asked God to help us in the red zone. Said damn, we left some opportunities out there. So I fired myself from doing the post-game prayer. I will not be doing that anymore. But we played the clip for the guys. I said, hey, let's talk about accountability because we got to address this. We got to get this fixed. And we played the whole clip of of Will Ferrell at the kitchen table doing the prayer where he's talking to baby Jesus and all that stuff. And I think everybody knew, because I think Sam Williams was like, afterwards, he said to Dak, he goes, "Can you swear during the prayer?" So I have fired myself. I will no longer be doing the post-game prayer. Chalk that one up, that when you're that emotional and there's the ups and downs of a game, you don't need to be the one talking to God. So that's something that we, good, better, how, we after action report, and we've got cleaned up. It's either going to be the team chaplain or someone a little bit more calm than me.
We talked about the numbers at corner. Diggs and Revel, is there a decision with them? Do you fear that I won't have them in September?
Yeah, again, I think, Calvin, I get that you have to ask a question. I think, both guys are doing what they're supposed to do, and it's going to, like I said, I do believe there's good news on the way, for a number of these guys that, are injured, that hopefully we will have them in September. I'm talking about multiple guys at multiple spots, but you never know. And again, at the end of the day, it's one of those things that you take it day by day. And my number one concern is that they're doing everything that they're supposed to be doing with Britt and Jim and our training staff and our doctors to do that, and then keeping them engaged, which you guys have always asked about, keeping them engaged with meetings and doing some of the things that they can watch and things like that. So that's the biggest thing we're focused on right now.
Football stuff with the strength guys, is he a little bit further ahead than Revel based on what the medical people are telling you?
Yeah, I mean, they're both out there, but yeah, I think, right now Trayvon's doing some great things. And again, I like to go watch those guys work out when they're working with Britt during practice, during special teams. And I think he's doing a nice job, and I'm on him. I'm on him. I want him back. I want him back for him. I really do. He's been through a lot, and I want him back for him. And, whether that's game 1, game 2, game 3, whatever it looks like, and it's not because he can help us win, which he certainly can do, but I care about him as a person. And I want it for him to get back on the field because he loves to play so much.
Sorry, last one. I know you said they're
Smaller crowd today. You guys get multiple questions.
I know you said you wouldn't say the backup running back is Javonte your starter?
I'm not going to name the starter right now either, Nick. Javonte's having a great camp. Again, I'm not going to say he's the starter, but Javonte's having a hell of a camp, and I love the kid's professionalism. I love his professionalism. I love everything that he does. He's so smart, having a terrific camp.
You good? Yeah, no, just piggybacking on what he asked you about Trayvon with Mike. Certainly we've seen him out here watching practice, but what do you know about how he's keeping himself in shape and ready to play football if and when he does decide to start practicing? The one thing that in the past, a guy has in practice, he gets out there first week, he has soft tissue injury.
Yeah, I think that's the benefit of him being here. You know what I'm saying? I think the fact that he's here, he can do some things. He's out there in his hot suit or whatever he's doing and stuff like that. But there's a plan. There's a plan for him to get in shape. But I do think that's the benefit of a guy being here and as opposed to someplace else. All of our medical people are here. All of our trainers and strength coaches. That definitely helps.
So he's out there doing other things.
Yeah, he's doing some things for sure.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, guys.